All right, so I want to pressurize this cooling system and see if I can identify where that leak is occurring. And the water outlets or thermostat housings on these engines have an NPT port on it. That plug, I stuck a wrench in it real quick and it was just stuck in there solid as I expected. So I'm going to start by draining the coolant. I'm going to put a little heat and penetrating oil on that. In fact, maybe I'll give it a quick spray, let it soak in while I'm doing everything else. And once I get the coolant drained out, I'll pop this hose off, heat up that outlet, and see if I can get it out. Because then I could just, plumb some air right into that at low pressure. And I also have a homemade smoke machine, which I may use as well. So let's get to it. All right, that looks decent. We'll get this top one undone. Let that cool off before I mess around with it anymore. Well, I thought I had a 3/8 to 1/4 NPT adapter, but I don't. So I'm making a trip to the hardware store. Just gonna chase these threads. They're kind of gross. So the antifreeze is nice and green, and also under the radiator cap, there's no oil residue. I think the radiator may have just been low. I pulled the dipstick again, and it smelled more like gasoline. Just really, really old gasoline. The first time I pulled it, I didn't catch a whiff at all because it's probably 20-year-old fuel. Anyhow, I went down to the hardware store and grabbed a ball valve and a reducer, put an air fitting in there. I'm just gonna thread that guy in there and pressure test the system anyways. And then I think after that, I'm gonna pull the carburetor off. It's good, and get to compression testing. Because I like that orientation best. All right. I'll put a regulator in line. Because your cooling system's usually only, well, this one's got a 7-pound cap on it, so I don't need much. just going to back that out all the way and move till the needle just came off. Well, I had a nice low pressure gauge. Perhaps it's a little over the top, but that one came out of a scrap bin and it goes to 30 psi, so perfect. I'm going to leave that setting there and just keep an eye on it. It looks like it might be bleeding down real slow. In fact, I'm going to, at about 6.5, I'm going to close this valve in case the leak is coming from the connector there, because it's likely. Let it set. Maybe go grab a drain pan and get the oil out of this thing. All right, how much water are we going to get? Good amount. Oh, yeah. Next, I hosed down the carburetor with some penetrating oil and yanked it off. Then I pulled the spark plugs too. Thought it wouldn't be a bad idea to change the oil filter. That's when things took a turn for the worse. Decided to go ahead and pop a valve cover too. I want to make sure this thing's getting oil to the top end. The gauge is moving, but it's not moving all the way up, or up as much as I think it should. But that just may be the sender or anything. So, wise thing to do is pop the valve cover and trust your eyes. Holy shit. Yeah. I think I'm going to be taking the engine from the 68 and putting it in this one. It is just not what I wanted to find. I'm still going to hold myself to 30 days, so make sure to subscribe and maybe turn on the notifications so you can stay up to date. Now, this engine may be salvageable. I heard it run for about 5 to 10 seconds. It sounded like it was running on all 8 pretty evenly, and there weren't any noises, no knocking, no clattering, and it wasn't smoking. But if I keep turning this thing over, it's going to be ruined. I think the oil pickup tube's probably
plug solid with sludge. It looked like there might have been a little bit getting to the top end. You can see just a hint of oil on one of those valve springs, but it's definitely got to come out. So that means the engine from the 68 F250 is going to go in. And that was a running engine when I pulled it. It ran pretty good. Felt like it might have had a slight miss on one cylinder. I think it was ignition, but my plan is I'm going to break that engine down and maybe do a refresh. Just rings, new standard bearings, no machine work, and reseal it because it was a pretty good oil leaker. But it felt good. So that's the plan. First thing I've got to do, though, is pick up my garage because it is a disaster in here. I've been doing a lot of organizing, bought some totes and put some shelves up upstairs, and that's going to be my focus for tomorrow mainly, and then start tearing into that engine from the 68, see what we got. Thanks for watching.